Hey everybody, my name's Kathleen. I'm here with the Creativity for Kids team, and today we're going to go over how to knit a hat like the one I'm wearing with our quick knit loom kit. We're going to be using rainbow yarn and a round loom to knit a hat today. So this is the kit that we have. Cool. I love the rainbow. And then I'm going to show you what comes in it just really quickly. So you get this round loom, 2 pieces of yarn, rainbow, you get the pom-poms, and then you also get a hook, the needle, a felt heart, and then your needle threader. And this will come in handy later. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to go over just a little bit about the loom and the different terminology that we have for it. So it's round, obviously, because it's round. There are different shapes, actually.
Kathleen, before you go through all that, can you just let our friends know who maybe don't have the kit what they can use?
Sure, absolutely. So I know that round looms are available in the store. You can also use some circular needles, circular knitting needles, if you don't have one of these. But
Great.
this is a 9-inch round loom. Okay, so starting with this little knob, this is actually called your anchor peg, and this is going to be important for us later. And each of these, we're going to call, these are pegs, and you'll know within each peg there's a groove, and this helps with our hook when we're hooking over the edge. All right, so we're going to start, and I just want to show you guys a quick tip to find the end of your string. Sometimes you might be tempted to take the edge from here, but that makes your yarn really messy. What you do is, there's this right here, pull it out. There's your end. All right, and we're gonna start. So we're gonna start by tying the end of the yarn to this anchor peg. Just like that, really simple, nothing special to the knot. And then we're going to start wrapping the yarn over the top of the peg and around. Do you see that? So it's going over the top of the peg, around the back, and then you're going to pull it tight. And then we are going to go around like this.
Hey, Kathleen, before you jump right in, we have some friends asking us about the loom. So can they use a slightly larger loom or a smaller one? And how many pegs does a loom have?
That's a great question. So this is a 9-inch round loom, and it's the perfect size for making a hat that fits your head. If you go smaller, your hat might not fit your head. Or if you go bigger, it might be a little bit bigger on your head. So 9-inch is really great for just your head size. But that's a really great question.
Thank you.
And then how many pegs? Let's count.
Oh gosh, I'll count, Kathleen, and you can keep going.
Okay. All right, so as I showed you, we're going around the pegs, over the top, and then around. And you can see my thumb is holding this yarn. I like to hold it, because let me show you what happens if you don't. You could maybe lose your string or something. It will easily become unraveled. So that's why I like to hold it.
And Kathleen, can you go a little bit slow on the first step so our friends can see exactly? So I see you tied around the anchor.
Right.
Now.
So tied on the anchor, just like this.
And that's how you start.
Right. And then I'm going to hold it like this so you can see. We are going to the left, like this.
Great. So you just keep doing that around the whole loom?
Yep. We are going to do this around the entire loom.
And does it matter if should you go really tight or loose?
My recommendation is not to pull your yarn too tight. If you do pull your yarn too tight while you are casting on like this, it's going to be really difficult later for you to pull it over the edge of the knob. So I would keep it not too tight. You want it to be a little bit relaxed.
Kathleen, does it matter if your yarn is thin? Is there a certain type of thickness that you should use?
That's a really great question. So the yarn that I'm using is pretty chunky. Not some of the super chunky that you see in the store, but has a good weight to it. And what this does is it makes the hat a nice weight to keep you warm in the winter. If you use a thinner yarn, your hat is going to be not as heavy. So more like socks are usually used with a thinner yarn.
Great, thank you. And for our friend who asked how many pegs, it's actually 36 pegs for our 9-inch loom.
Right, it's 36 pegs. So if you're using a circular needle, you'll do that many cast on stitches. That's a little bit more advanced. So as you can see, I've gone around one time, and we're going to continue going around the loom. So here's where my last one was, and then we're going to start doing a second row.
Kathleen, we have some friends asking, does it matter if it goes behind or in the front of the peg?
It does. So it's going to matter. It's going to change how your hat looks, just the knit of it. So let me go over this again. So we're going around the back, around, over the top, and I'll show you what it looks like this way. Are there any questions?
We have a friend saying that they double their yarn and use 2 different balls of yarn and then they tie them together to thicken it. Will that work?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always use a thicker yarn and a thinner yarn. A lot of people like to use some of the really pretty eyelash yarn to add a little extra pizzazz to your hat.
So Kathleen, do you think maybe you could press pause really quick? And we have some friends asking if there's written instructions for this kit.
Absolutely.
I just want to also tell our friends, so Kathleen, while she's showing this video will also be recorded and be on michaels.com under their online classes. And we also have some available under Creativity for Kids on our YouTube channel that'll walk you through all of the steps.
So the kit does come with instructions, shows you up close pictures on how to wrap the yarn around the peg. And then this is the second picture, and this is where I am right now on the second row.
Great, thank you. So we have a lot of friends asking if we can slow down. So if you can just show the steps one more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kathleen, what happens if you miss a peg too?
Good question. You can always go back. So I'm going to start again from the beginning. I'm just going to tie this on the anchor peg. Just a simple knot. Just like this. And then we're going in this direction. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, that's great. So for all of our friends, you're just repeating the same step.
Great.
That's great. Thank you, Kathleen.
And then I'm just going to keep going. And we're just doing the same motion every time. And you know what? I'll show you, let's show you what we do when we miss a peg. So here I'm skipping a peg on accident. And then maybe I don't notice for a while. And I keep going. And then I say, shoot, I missed that peg. What really helps is I like to hold on to the yarn before the peg that I missed, and then just let go. And then we'll redo it. And that's okay.
Do you ever have to cut the yarn?
We are going to use both of those balls of yarn for this hat, so not with this kit, but if you do need to cut your yarn and add on another yarn, I'll show you how to do that when we get further on in the hat. I'll definitely make sure to show you. How's everybody doing so far?
They seem to be doing good. How many rows should we do if you're using a thin yarn? Should it be the same amount?
Yes. You're doing good, awesome.
Ronnie's doing good.
Let me know if I need to go back, guys. And then as I'm doing this, I'm just moving the loom with me. Oh, I'm getting there. How do you do it at the 2-1? I know what you mean. Okay, so we are about to start our second row. You can see I went around for the first row.
Before you go on, Kathleen, remember, friends, if we're going a little bit fast, this is recorded, so you can watch it again and press pause so you can catch up. So it'll be available in about a day or two.
That's a great question, Sarah. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my second row. You're a little ahead of me. Good job. And as we're doing our second row, we're gonna be pushing this down. So the first row that you did, we're gonna push it down. And you know what? That helps make room for the second row. Just makes it a little bit easier.
Kathleen, what size loom would you suggest for a baby hat?
That's a great question. I know that they come in a lot of different sizes. Let's see. this kind of fits around my head. So I would look for a loom that's roughly a baby size head. Did that help you? I'm sorry.
I think that works. Probably like a 5-inch loom or. We have a friend asking, if you push down on the yarn to make room for the second round, will it affect the hat?
Not at all. Nope. And I'll show you why later. Because once this gets longer, we're gonna start pulling it down. It's gonna come down this way. Actually, let me show you.
And friends, remember, it takes a couple hours, or it may take a couple of hours to finish the hat. So we're just going to be showing you the steps that you're taking.
Right. This could probably take you 2 to 3 hours maybe. So you can see this is an almost done hat, and you'll be pulling it through the loom. But that's not until later.
And friends, for the question about a baby hat, babies, newborns, you would generally do about a 24 peg loom, and babies to 1-year-old about a 31 peg loom.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah. We have a friend asking, does the hat shrink when it comes off the loom, or does it stay the size of the loom?
It's not gonna shrink, but it is full. It's expanded right now, so it will be more snug once you take it off. Okay, so I just finished wrapping my second row, and here's the part where you're gonna use your hook. Are you guys ready? So this is the peg I stopped on as the last peg of my second row. So I'm holding this tight with my left hand. I'm right-handed. And you're gonna take your hook, and do you see how I'm pulling? I have my hook around this loop. You're gonna take your hook and put it in the groove of the peg, slide down, pull it around, and pull it over the peg. And I'll do that again. So once I've pulled that loop over that last peg, now we're secure, and I don't need to hold that tail with my other hand. And then you can just go around the loom and repeat that step for all of the pegs. Will it have holes in it? It'll have a little, yeah, it'll have a little, it'll be just like a sweater. So this is what it looks like. Looks like a sweater or a scarf. And you know, when you pull it apart, it'll look like this. But not really wholly. Okay, and then I'm gonna keep going around the peg. So let me show you again. I'm taking the hook, and I'm gonna put it in the grooves of the peg and slide it down and hook that bottom loop and pull it over top of the peg. And let's do that again. So
Yes, just repeat that same step.
Yep, so we're just going on the next peg, putting the hook in the grooves of the peg, and then we have this, we're taking the first row, pulling it over top. So taking the bottom loop and pulling it up and over.
We have some friends asking, what if it's too tight and they can't like pull it over?
If it's too tight, if it's really, sometimes if it's really tight, you can pull it over. If it's so tight that you can't pull it over, I would recommend taking your, let me show you how to go back. Okay, so you can see I've started. Let me show you. So this was the loop that we just pulled over. We're going to take this in our hook and pull it back over. And then that's like going back in time. If you didn't like it, if it's a little too tight. So let me show you again. I'm taking what we had already pulled over the peg with my hook.
Can you hold the loom up, Kathleen? It's a little hard to see.
Sure. So this is the loop that we just pulled over. We're just going to put it, we're going to pull it pull it back over, and then pull your string. Can you use a pencil if you lost your needle? I think you might break your pencil lead if you did that. I'll show you what you can do. You could use a paper clip, or if you did it loose enough, you should be able to use it with your fingers, but that's pretty hard. But you could also use a paper clip, yeah. Okay.
We have a friend asking, if you go up the groove instead of down, does it affect the stitch? This person is a lefty.
Oh, okay. Okay, great question. So I'm going to do it. So you're pulling it like this. So before I was going this way. This way. You're going this way. Same thing. Either way works. Whatever you're more comfortable with, really.
Do you have any tips on how to untangle yarn when it's already wrapped around the loom?
Like the tail, if the tail got stuck in there?
I think so.
I would just try and space everything out. So I would say do your best to try and untangle it, but everything will become untangled. Right. Something that might help would be not to take too much yarn when you're working. So I just have a little bit out right now. If this gets too long, it gets tangled easier. So kind of just take yarn as you go. Okay. So I'm pulling these loops over, and as I'm pulling them over, we're going to take this, and you can see I'm pushing it down with my other hand. If you're more experienced, can you learn new stitch kinds on a loom? Absolutely. So the main project with this kit is a hat, but we do provide instructions in our instruction sheet. This is the hat. And then we also provided instructions to make a little cozy for your cup. So you can just stitch on just the side or knit just on the side, not go around. Make a tea cozy. This one's a little bit more advanced. So I'm gonna keep going. So I'm just taking the bottom loop and pulling it over the peg. So bottom loop, pulling it over the peg.
Do you push down after it's pulled over?
Yes, you caught me, I missed it. Okay, I'm going back, I'm pushing it down. Can I find instructions of the hat on y'all's YouTube channel? Yes, you can. And that's good because then you can pause it. Okay. And then I'm pulling this down. So it looks like this. Let me show you. So this is what it looks like. Can I do it over because I'm blind? Yes, absolutely. So now I'm going to take my yarn and we're going to do another row.
I just love these colors, Kathleen.
Aren't these pretty?
So vibrant. Friends, what are your favorite colors? What are you knitting with?
What size loom for an adult hat? I'm wearing the hat from this kit and this was a 9-inch. Is that what we said?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's also 10-inch looms if your head is a little bit bigger. Rachel, your favorite color is blue. I love blue. You see my string got short again, so I'm going to take a little bit more.
And so Kathleen, you're just repeating the same steps that we did in the beginning, right?
Yes, I am. We are just going around each peg. So the string goes behind the peg, and then you're going to flip it over and around, and then to the back of the next peg. So behind the next peg, over and around. So behind the peg, and you're going to pull it over the front of it and around.
So one of our friends said that a 41 peg loom works better with adults for more hair and thicker hair. Thank you for that tip.
That's a great tip.
And then we have another friend, Ronnie, said if you're left-handed, can you do the opposite way and will it come out the same?
Absolutely. So if you want to go in the opposite direction than I am, it's still gonna look the same. So if that's more comfortable for you, absolutely.
How do you prevent it from coming loose?
That's a great question. And I'll show you what I like to do is I like to hold the peg or the string. I like to hold onto it with my hand. So I'm pulling the string around with my left hand, and then I'm holding that peg that I just pulled the string around with my right hand. Okay. And now we have 2 rows again, and we're just gonna repeat what we did before. So hold the string so it doesn't unravel, and pull that loop over the peg. Let me do that again.
Slowly.
So you see this is the last peg I wrapped, and I'm holding that tail with my hand so that it doesn't unravel. So I'm holding everything with my left hand right now, and I'm going to take the hook with my right hand and take that bottom loop and pull it over the top of the peg. And then we're just going to repeat this and keep going. Just like that. So take the hook in the groove and pull that bottom loop. Pull it over the top of the peg. And we want to be pulling these down.
Awesome. And our friend Lily, she suggests that if you're trying to fit a toddler, she suggests a 31 peg loom. Thank you, Lily.
That's awesome.
So Kathleen, maybe we do a couple more of these and then you show us the next step? Because do you just keep repeating these steps, or when do you know when to stop?
Absolutely. So I'm going to finish this row. And so after you do, this is my 3rd row. And so for this hat, we use an entire bundle of yarn and then a little bit of the other one. But I'll show you fast forward how we're going to take this off the loom. Okay?
Yeah, our friend Laura said, once you have done several rows, how do you know when your cap is the right size?
That's a great question, Laura. So in our instructions, we have that you need to knit until it's around 8.5 inches long. Yeah, and we have a measuring guide in here with inches so you can measure it. Do you guys have any more questions? Oh, right.
You make it look so easy, but
Again.
that just practice makes perfect. And it's a lot of repetitive steps, and it'll get easier and easier as you continue on with the hat.
Yep, absolutely.
And you go faster once you get the hang of it too, I imagine.
Absolutely. When I was beginning knitting, it took me a really long time to knit a hat, but now I can get it done a lot faster. Are you starting and finishing on the same peg? Yes. So we're gonna do, yes, we started in this spot and we're gonna end in that spot. How do you know when you're done? Good question, Nikki. So once this gets long enough, and I'll show you once I finish this row, how long it's gonna be. Because we're gonna repeat this same process of pulling the yarn around the loom until it's really long.
Have you ever knitted anything other than a hat, Kathleen?
Yes, I've done a sock and a scarf and one of those infinity scarves.
And an animal, a unicorn, right?
Yeah, and a unicorn. I've made a lot of little plushies too.
Yeah, so at Michael's, friends, we have a few of these kits. And actually, this week we launched a brand new kit where you make a unicorn knit animal, knit plushie, and it is so cute. So if you love this activity, there's more where it came from.
So I just wanted to show you guys, I finished my third row. And at this point, we can take the string that was around our anchor peg and go ahead and untie it, because we don't need it there anymore. And once you untie it, do you guys see that? I untied the yarn from the anchor peg and then just push it in there so it's hanging just like that. Will this hat have a brim? The bottom, I don't know if you can see my face, but the bottom of the hat does roll up a little bit, so it'll have a little bit of a brim like that, but nothing big enough to keep the sun out of your eyes if that's what you're looking for. Just a little bit, but it rolls up a bit. It's kind of cute, right?
Okay. Very cute. So what do you do with that dangling yarn?
So this,
yeah,
we are gonna hold off. This will come in later. We're eventually gonna sew it in to the bottom of the hat so we can hide it. So I've done 3 rows. I'm gonna show you guys what this hat looks like once we've gotten it enough to 8.5 inches, which is big enough for a hat.
So colorful. I love the rainbow design.
So now we fast forward to the future, and look how cool this is.
So Kathleen, just so our friends know, if you're a beginner, how long do you think this would take?
If you're a beginner, to get to this point, it's probably going to take you at least 2 hours to knit a piece this long. And I would be generous with yourself and maybe give yourself 3 hours.
That's something you could do a little bit each night, maybe.
Yeah. If you have 20 minutes every night, you could spend a little bit of time on this, relax after you finish doing your homework.
This would be such a great gift, too.
It's a great gift idea if you're trying to make something special for Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. This would be so fun to gift to somebody.
And the 8.5 inches, you said, what age range do you think that would fit? Probably like 8 to an adult, or what do you, 7, probably 5 years old, or?
This is for a child's head, but it also fits my head. And I have like a medium size head. So let me show you how to measure this. So I have a ruler here, and let me point out, here is 8.5, okay? So this is what 8.5 inches looks like. And you're gonna wanna put this down and hold it just like this. And that's 8.5 inches. And this is how you know that it's big enough.
We have a friend who's feeling a little frustrated, and this is a totally new skill, so it can be a little hard at first, but I promise if you just practice and keep going, it'll get easier each time, right, Kathleen?
Absolutely. I felt frustrated too when I first started knitting, because it's a lot to take in when you're first starting. But once you keep going and you have knitted a bunch of rows like this, you'll feel more comfortable.
And soon you'll find it to be relaxing even.
Exactly. So Maurizia, I'm beginning and I'm really stuck. I'm sorry. So we do have a video on YouTube if you want to check that out. that'll be really nice for you because then you'll be able to play the video and then pause.
Yeah, and friends, if you're behind, don't worry. This video is also being recorded, so you can go back and watch it and press pause and catch up. So we promise we'll be here with you.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you what to do next to finish your hat. Okay, so in our instructions, you can see that we have this ruler, and you're going to need some scissors. Okay, and we're going to measure 45 extra inches of yarn, and we're going to need that to take this off the loom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and measure. So put the beginning at the beginning, 15, 30, and 45. So I measured that 15 inches 3 times and cut. And then next you're going to take your needle
Kathleen, one of our friends is asking, how do you do multiple colors, like 2 different colored yarns?
That's a good question. So I will show you with this other roll. So pretend you're knitting. You're just going to hold these 2 pieces of yarn together. So it would be like this. If you're wrapping it around, it's just double like that. And then that's how you get 2 yarns together. And that'll make your hat a little bit thicker too.
Thank you. And Sarah's asking, she said, I'm using fuzzy yarn and it's very hard to see what I'm doing through the fur. Are there any tricks that you would recommend?
So if you're having a fuzzy yarn and it's really fuzzy, this one is not as fuzzy, but it definitely helps to keep pushing this down, right? So you know how I was telling you to push your loops down to the bottom of the loom? I would do that. And then that will give you greater separation between your first row and your second row, and you'll be able to see it more. So I would try that. Try and keep them a little bit more separate on your pegs by pushing your bottom row down. So I would keep pushing that down if you have fluffy yarn. Okay. So I'm taking the end of my yarn and the needle, and then I also have this needle threader. And so we're going to take the end of the yarn, put it on the needle threader like this, and we're going to use this to thread the yarn into the needle. And that makes it just easier to thread it because this is a thicker yarn. All right, let me show you guys again. So I'm taking the needle threader, putting the yarn through the loop, just like that. So it looks like this. And then take your needle and put the needle threader, take the skinny part and put it through the eye of the needle. So you're just gonna pull the yarn through, just like that. Okay. And now I'm gonna show you how to take your hat off the loom. So you see we're by the anchor peg. Here's the anchor peg. And here's my string. And I'm just gonna take my needle, and you're gonna take your needle through the grooves of the peg. So it's gonna look like this. You see how I'm going up through the loop? And then pull your yarn through. Let me show that again. That's what it looks like. And then pull your needle through, just like that, and then pull it all the way. Just like that. And then we're gonna do that. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, so we have a friend asking, is there a way to alternate the colors?
So if you want to, so for example, if you want to stop with one color, so you did maybe 5 rows of red, and then you want to switch to white or blue. What you're gonna do is you're gonna cut your string so you have a little bit of a tail, and then you're just gonna tie 2 ends together. So you'll tie the end of your tail to the end of your new string. So let me show you just with this. Imagine this is shorter. So imagine I cut it here. You'll just tie it on and keep knitting. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna keep showing with the needle. So again, putting your needle through that loop. Needle's going up, and then you're gonna pull the needle through and then pull all of the string. So it starts to look like this. You guys have any more questions?
So one of our friends is asking, can you show the first cast off again? Where did the yarn from the hat go?
Oh, so I cut it. Let me show you. I have this one started. So I had this knitted, all of this knitted. So once you've completed your 8.5 inches, again, you measure a larger tail, 45 inches, and our instructions do have a size guide with inches marked so that you can measure it out. But you're gonna measure a big tail, and then you're gonna cut it with your scissors.
So we have about 10 minutes left.
All right, I'm gonna go a little bit faster, guys.
So Kathleen, we have a friend asking how to put on the pom-pom. Will you be able to show that?
Absolutely.
So Kathleen's just finishing up this step really quick. Look how fast she goes. Once you become a pro at this, you'll go this fast too. Kathleen, can you move the loom a little bit away from you? So, yes, perfect. And friends, you can find this video if you go to michaels.com online classes, and the video will be there. It'll also be on YouTube, and you can find it on YouTube under the Michaels or Creativity for Kids Quick Knit Loom. We have a friend asking, how would you make the hat without the rolled edge? Is that possible with this type of what we're doing here?
Right, that's a more advanced technique. It's just the nature of this stitch. You're always going to get that roll on it with this stitch that we're doing today. If you want to go online, there are different ways to get rid of this. And that's just doing an alternate way of pulling it over. It's a little bit more complicated. That's an intermediate level. Okay, so you can see I've gone in a complete circle, and I am going to stitch the first one more time, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to take it off the loom. So we're going to be removing this.
Riley, oh, sorry. Riley's asking, can you iron the hat or put it in the washer or dryer?
Yeah, so I would make sure if you're using our kit, your yarn will not, your hat won't shrink. But if you're using a wool, as you can see, I'm just pulling this off the pegs now. Now that we've secured it by pulling the needle through each peg, now we can just take this off.
That looks so gratifying, pulling it off the loom. Very exciting.
And I'm using my fingers. You can also use the hook, and that's much easier. You can see I'm just pulling it off.
So are you going to give this hat as a gift, Kathleen?
I might want to wear this myself. This hat on my head belongs to someone else. Okay, so you guys can see I pulled it off the loom, and then you're going to pull your string. And while you're pulling the string, kind of even out the tension around your hat, but you're going to keep pulling it, so we're closing. We're closing the hat. This is going to be the top of the hat. Okay. All right, so once you've pulled that shut, kind of like this, it'll be a little bit of a hole. Keep pulling it shut. This is what mine looks like. And we're gonna flip this inside out. So you're gonna take your needle, put it through the hole, and we're gonna flip this inside out. So you can see, there's my needle. You can see it. Pull your needle through, now pull your head inside out. And we're just gonna tie this hole shut. So to tie this shut, we're just gonna take our needle again, and like this, we're just gonna make a knot. Okay, so I just pulled the string through the last row, and I have a loop, like this. All right, and there's our knot. And then trim. So we're gonna cut. All right, and there's your hat. And then I'm gonna show you how to hide this.
Amazing.
So you're gonna take your needle again and thread your needle with that tail. And we're just gonna hide this. So you see the bottom row here? I'm just gonna leave this around these loops. So I'm just going in and out on that last row. And then pull the tail through. And that'll hide it. And then trim. Cool, there's your hat. And then I told someone
Amazing.
I put a couple pom-poms on. So this hat comes with 2 pom-poms. You can decide if you just want 1, like my hat, or if you want 2, because that's cute, right? Okay, so to attach the pom-poms, I want to show you just quickly that these have little loops in them. So there are 2 little loops, 2 little white loops. And then with your extra string, we're gonna cut some yarn. Okay, 15 inches. So we are gonna cut 2 pieces of yarn that are 15 inches. So it looks like this. And then another one. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of string, and we have our pom-poms, and we are going to thread our needle with one of these strings, just like this. You can use your needle threader. I'm trying to go a little bit fast so we can finish. So you're gonna thread your string, and then you're gonna take the needle, and you're gonna get those loops. So you want it to look like this. How do I do one pom-pom? I'll show you how to do one pom-pom. Okay. So you can see I have my pom-pom threaded with the string. And you got to decide where you want. Maybe you want your pom-pom here. Maybe you want it here. Maybe in the center. So it's more normal. And you're going to take your pom-pom and your string, and you're just going to sew it on there. So there's one. So I put one in, and then I'm going to do the other side. So I'm just attaching it just like this. And then we'll turn it inside out again. So you see the inside. And you see these two tails? We're just going to tie them together.
So easy.
Just like that. So I cut 2 strings because originally I was going to do 2 poms. Someone asked me to do 1 pom. So here's
Kathleen, one of our friends is asking, what weight is the yarn?
This is a medium weight yarn.
That looks so great.
Ooh, right?
I love it.
Do you guys have any other questions while we're finishing up?
Well, Kathleen, you did a great job, and thank you everyone for joining this class. And remember, it gets easier with practice, and this video will be available on michaels.com in their online classes section, and you'll be able to press pause, press play, rewind, and you'll see Kathleen lots more. So we thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks everybody for joining us. I hope all you guys have fun with making your hats.